He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm going to keep my big being, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
And maybe one of those things you can learn with that cup of coffee, boys, is how to spin it. Actually, I don't want any of the government agents out there, Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, Mossad, to even know about that, because it'd make them live longer. And that's what I'm doing here, spinning my coffee. Hello, Mike Frye. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Clayton. I'm doing just fine.
Well, I'm certainly happy to finally get you on my show. I was worried when I called earlier this morning that you might be up in the mountains again.
No. I will say this before we get started here. Remind everybody about gun safety. Yesterday I was loading my revolver, and I closed the revolver. When I slammed it shut, it discharged. And the blast caught me below the thumb and left me with quite a laceration and little copper burn and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm just happy to be with you this morning on the show.
Well, that ought to be a lesson to you from the liberal side, how dangerous guns are.
Exactly.
Mike, I've got you up here as an oath keeper, and you're up in Yavapai County, and
yes.
You're working on a new project. We got a meeting coming up tomorrow, don't we? Can you tell us about that?
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Tomorrow at precisely 7 p.m., we're going to have a meeting in Rocksprings Cafe.
Okay, that's just a little bit north of Phoenix, up on 17. Or 19, right?
Yes. Yeah.
17,
exit
17.
242.
Exit 242, okay.
Yeah, that's the 242 and I-17. It's north of Anthem, right south of Black Canyon City. It's in fact, exit 242, if you come off and you go across the freeway back to the west, and then you hang a right, you go to Black Canyon City, you hang left, you go to Rock Springs Cafe.
Yeah, that's right on the access road, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think they got some pretty good food there. I believe I've eaten there a couple of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Penny's Pies is there, world renowned. She's been on her pie place. We've been on the Food Channel and a couple other. I believe the Travel Channel too. But her pies there are just renowned. That's one of the reasons why I had the meeting there.
Okay. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna put that up right now on my website. What is the name? What are you putting together here? I'm up on my site here. I'm going to add this because my site is this site, freeamerican.com, is a member of the Patriot Unity Coalition, and I got a little logo there asking for volunteers in a minute. This meeting will be at 8 o'clock.
Tomorrow's at 7.
What's that? Tomorrow, Friday,
Yeah.
13th.
Right. At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m., okay?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the name of this new group?
It's called the Arizona Committee of Safety. The group originated back in October from a bunch of patriots being concerned about the 1.4 million acre, we call it land grab. I think most people would. Agenda 21 is what it's all about. But anyway, it's the 1.4 million land closure in the Sonoran Desert here in Arizona. They opened up a corridor literally from the border to roughly 5 minutes south of Marana, Arizona. And in this area is what's supposed to, the BLM, quote, has suspended the closure, but they were initially going to close 1.4 million acres, destroy all the roads on the inside, and of course they were saying, well, you could still access it by foot and horseback. Well, I don't know too many people alive that can walk 1.4 million acres, and I don't know too many horses alive that can walk 1.4 million acres, but you could still have access to it that way. Of course, if you were caught with a gun shooting or anything like that, you'd get in trouble. Of course, if you're down there with an off-road vehicle, you can get in trouble.
Now, are you talking about the same area right up from Marana and Panhandle County, where they put signs up warning Americans that there were drug dealers in this area and they shouldn't come in?
Yes, absolutely. That's the same area. Yeah, same area. And they wanted to make it official by doing the closure, to the area. They claim that, if you go on the BLM website, I'm not sure if you can even find it on there anymore. I haven't checked it in a couple weeks, but it's on the BLM website. Type in the search engine there, Sonoran Desert, and it would bring out all the information to you. And it was 1.4 million acres, and they're, laying out penalties where if you're down there target shooting or something like that, or getting caught with an off-road vehicle, you face penalties and possible jail time.
Give me that exit off of it's I-17, isn't it?
Yeah, I-17 going north out of Phoenix at exit 242.
242?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We got that up. All right. Now, the committees of safety. Do you have a website on that?
Committee.org.
Okay.
Is
committee.org?
Well, committee.org has been my primary resource for information. I believe there's another one called committeesofsafety.org, and that's also a good website for information. It has a lot of from Agnes Hunt's book that she wrote in 1906, or that it was released in 1906.
Okay, I'll change that. Right now we got this one on committees of safety is linked there, and it's going to be at the Rocksprings Cafe. I've got that all up on the website as we speak.
Okay.
And
everybody's welcome. That needs to be said. Everybody is welcome. If you're a legal resident of the great state of Arizona and you call Arizona home, everybody's welcome to attend.
All right. I would like to be able to come up there, bring some of my books up. I mean, I've got, I've been writing books about this kind of crap for years. And I'd like to be able to bring those up and meet some people. I will be I will be wearing my dogs, and if anybody don't like that, they can. No, I shouldn't even go there. But Folks, it is a misdemeanor to refuse me service in any restaurant or bar if just because I'm wearing 2 black and white chihuahuas don't mean shit. Okay?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, at the last time we met, Mike, at the Oath Keepers March down here for Gurno.
Yes.
Yep. You know, I took the boys with me to his wife's home, and then I took them back to go to the hotel, mainly because I wanted people to talk to me rather than pet the dogs.
There you go.
And everybody that came up to me said, "Where's the dogs? Where's the dogs?" So,
yeah,
what?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of us are known by our trademarks, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's they're my service animals, but I really work for them. I'm just the driver and the bodyguard, you know. I'm just lucky their little paws. I'm lucky their little paws can't grab a clutch or a throttle, you know.
Absolutely.
Now the Oath Keepers, you know, we're with this new bill. I mean, back when this happened with Guerrero, you know, it was a military. This was a military style raid, and this is what exactly what we can expect with this new NDAA bill that was passed in Congress. 93 congressmen voted for this to basically repeal posse comitatus and bring the troops into, you know, and I've always said, I've been telling people, man, they got our troops over in Iraq, training them to
on how to break down front doors.
What's that?
On how to break down front doors.
Yes, they're training them for America here. And now, you know, I used to tell people, well, they'd call me anti-government. And I said, man, I'm the most pro-government guy you'll ever meet here, you know?
Well, you know, I wouldn't say that you're anti-government. I would say that you're anti-common sense. You know, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, that's why I share that sentiment with you. When there's a lack of common sense in our government, that generally pulls a lot of patriots out of the woodwork, you know. You know, if the government maintained its constitutional footing and held common sense in high regard, or practiced the virtue of common sense, there's probably a good chance that guys like you wouldn't be up this time of the morning talking about it. But because there is a government that has lost its constitutional footing, and because there is a government that has lost that sacred virtue of common sense in governing, it's kind of sad, in my opinion. Let's consider the author of the bill, Mr. John McCain. Now, here's a gentleman, obviously, that many of us would have high respect for and hold in high regard, and many ways I still do, because he was a prisoner of war, and Hanoi Hilton, for that, I thank him for his service. But for a guy that was held indefinitely for, 9 years in the Hanoi Hilton, for him to sponsor a bill that detains Americans indefinitely, I'm not sure if he learned very much when he was held indefinitely for 9 years in the Hanoi Hilton.
You're speaking of Songbird McCain, the guy that came out pretty well fed out of the Hanoi Hilton. I've talked to some of his fellow cellmates there. They said they rarely saw him in the prison camps, and the propaganda tapes that he made for Viet Cong still haven't surfaced, huh?
Yeah. Well, Alvarez Jr., Lieutenant Commander Alvarez Jr., he was in the Hanoi Hilton. I believe he was the first one shot down. And if my memory serves me correct, he was also the first one released in '73. He was the first one in line, and they boarded the plane to leave there. And you know, I talked to him years ago at a it was a drill for the Wounded Warrior program. I'm not sure if it was that or it was an American Legion run, one of the two, I forget. But I spoke to him briefly, and he, you know, he asked me while I was at home, John, he goes, "Oh, you live in Johnsburg," and I said, "Yeah." And he kind of smiled at me, kind of gave me this awkward kind of a smile, and that was all I got out of him as far as the response went to Mr. John McCain. So I often wondered what that little kind of a smirk was, but, you know, over the years I've learned that I don't think he was one of the favorite people that were with him, you know.
This act, you know, for the last, since 1994, I helped start the militias after what happened at Waco. And, you know, I've been listed in Armed and Dangerous, put out by the ADL. I've been listed in Guide to Right-Wing Extremists, put out by the FBI, that was recalled by the governor of New Mexico, of my state, Governor Gary Johnson. And it doesn't seem that it's that much of a reach to say that I'm a belligerent and I could be hauled off just for my words, you know, and you know, I take it you read that in the NDAA as well as I did, and when I was reading that, I noticed that they didn't define belligerent. So basically, what I gathered from reading that and whatever that section was, it wasn't near the beginning. It was kind of like mid-halfway part of the bill that I read. When it talked about belligerent acts, basically I left that to open interpretation. I think that was the way it was meant to be written too, because they didn't define belligerent acts. So what does that mean? Maybe we'll consider, you know, you and I in our conversation being belligerent right now. I don't know. You know, that's a question that they would have to answer themselves, I guess. But you're right. One of the reasons why they can haul anybody off and detain them is, quote, belligerent act. Well, I mean, I've been accused of being belligerent by a McDonald's employee, you know, so I don't know.
I hear you.
But Mike, what you know, I started the militias not because I wanted to overthrow the government, because I wanted to keep the government honest, and I don't want you know, I don't want my sons going in the army going over and killing somebody because you know, some multinational corporation wants oil. Now the whole Tea Party movements were supposedly about that. The Occupy Wall Street were supposedly about that. All of those movements have been compromised somehow. The Tea Party shooting arrows at the occupiers. The occupiers are this. The Tea Partiers are this. I was kicked out of the Tea Party the Tea Party website. I was kicked off the website because for what?
Actually, Clayton, look at it this way. They didn't kick you out an eye out. We actually kicked them out. We're the original. Okay, so that's what it amounts to. We're the original. They don't like it because we're the original. You know, they can't lay their claim to fame that they stood out on their own and made the decision that they were, quote, going to be Tea Party early on. You know, these were the folks that jumped on the bandwagon. You know, everybody forgets Ron Paul was the first real politician, if you want to call Ron Paul a politician.
Ron Paul was a subscriber to My Free American Magazine for 10 years.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me because he was the first one to grasp the Tea Party concept, the whole idea and everything like that. And, you know, remember when they were having the inauguration and the John McCain and Sarah Palin were having their inauguration party or whatever that was, and at the same time they were having Restore the Republic rallies in Detroit, and there was 3 or 4 times the amount of people that were there. at his rally that was then at the John McCain Sarah Palin rally.
Now, let me ask you about that. Let me stop you right there for a second, because Sarah Palin went on to become the darling of the Tea Party, and suddenly, you know, she wants us to. She's urging the Tea Party people to go bomb Iran.
Well, I know. I'm a little on the shock side with that myself. I mean, you know, a lot of people ask me about Sarah Palin. How do you feel about that? Well, I'll tell you how I feel about Sarah Palin. I think she's done a lot to wake up a lot of the sleeping, and if anything, she's at least, you know, probably been one of the reasons why so many young people went down to the library and checked out the Constitution, got halfway through the first article and immediately realized, whoa, what's going on today and what it says here, and I haven't read a third of it. I could tell we're immediately in the wrong somewhere, you know. And so if anything, she's been good for that stuff, and I appreciate that end of it. I'm not really...
Yeah, the same thing about the Occupy movement. You know, they're going to be misdirected. You know, and they're all got their own little issues. And one of the biggest problems is that.
Well, that's a good point to bring up there, Clayton. Let me, if you don't mind, I'll jump in there. A lot of folks across the nation, including within even my organization, the Oath Keepers, a lot of folks couldn't understand why certain Oath Keepers decided that they were going to interact with the Occupy movement. Because there's in certain places across the country, and however, I'd like to point this out too, though, it's very important to point out. The areas that the Oath Keepers engaged heavily in those cities, overall were pretty peaceful. In areas where the Oath Keepers did not engage, or we didn't have a presence in, there was violence. I'll give you an example. California and Los Angeles, overall, occupied protests down there were relatively peaceful. Then up in Oakland, it wasn't peaceful. And there was a reason for that. We didn't have Oath Keepers in that area that could respond to Oakland. But they focused their efforts on LA. And as a result of that, LA was overall pretty peaceful. So what am I trying to point out here? My point out here is that the areas that we did engage, like Phoenix was relatively peaceful, and so was LA, but the areas that we did engage, the people remained cool, calm, and collective, and I noticed that as it started to wind down, those folks had switched their platforms. In other words, I watched some of them going from just being the young communists and not really, you know, knowing where they were at and fully embracing the John Lennon philosophy, you know, and don't get me wrong, I believe in peace like John did, you know, but, you know, you got to have a little, you know, structure, common sense to that, too. When there's peace, peace isn't chaos, you know. Anyway, they switched their platform from that. And then you saw switch to the end the Fed platform. And I thought that was pretty good. I saw a little transformation there. In other words, in those areas, you know, they started out with the young communist idea, and next thing you know, now they understand, hey, in 1913, you know, some cat named Woodrow Wilson decided that he wanted to control the financial institution of the entire nation by creating the Federal Reserve Act. I'm not sure if he created all of it. I'm sure he didn't. Every president down through history, and anybody else who tries to take on a large endeavor generally has staff that helps him write all that stuff. But irregardless, you know, his name is on it. And, you know, the 1913, you know, at least we can draw a line directly back to them as a financial problem for this country. If that makes any sense to you, brother.
You know, I was just talking before the show. You know, I've been fighting this New World Order for a long time. You know, my friends were the ones that surrounded the FBI around Randy Weaver. You know, the Free American promoted the start of the militias after Waco. And today, we're doing this show, it'll go up on YouTube. I got 700 videos up on YouTube. I've had the Free American website up for 15 years. They managed to kill my magazines because they attacked me. I had one of my magazines sold for $1 million on Thursday. The papers were signed. They put a press release out on Friday. Monday, I marked in the CEOs white and shaking. And I can't go through with it, Clay. I can't go through with it. So their attacks on me have all been financial. They took me out of the Tea Party, off of the Tea Party website, because somebody ran an article attributing the militias to me on the NAACP website. They were trying to say me and Larry Pratt, the Gun Owners of America, the one lobby that's doing a good job, and one of my regular guests, we were bigots somehow. So divide and conquer is what they have always done. I thought the Oath Keepers would be a way to bring people together. I like what they've done. As a matter of fact, my guest tomorrow is Elias Alias. And you know, we'll be talking about this new operation that he's got up, right?
Yeah. Elias is a very fine gentleman. And,
Operation Sleeping. That's Operation Sleeping Giant, folks, and the link's up on my website.
Yeah, and it's important to point out too. Back when we had the courtside deal, we actually had representation from the NAACP. Only one person came from their organization, but they did come out there to courtside, and I thought that was very nice. So, yeah, it's important. And then Elias, talking about Elias, absolutely fine gentleman. He's a patriot. Man's a patriot.
Now,
and I've been blessed in my lifetime to meet patriots, and Elias is one of them. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to having him on tomorrow.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah, we have another guest on here. Do we have another guest?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now, what are we doing tomorrow, 7 o'clock? I'll try to make it up there. And folks, let me say in advance. I don't know. I'm going to try to make it, but I need a little bit of support out here, folks. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you need to send me a donation. If you send a $20 donation, you'll get a copy of my book, an advanced copy of my book. You want a signed copy, costs you a little bit more. But my book, Mystery Babylon, tracks this whole New World Order thing down for a few thousand years. Mike, there ain't nothing new under the sun, is there? This is not the New World Order. This is not the New World Order. It's the Old World Order.
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest with you, brother, I think we've seen history come full circle. I think we literally have seen it come full circle. Everybody says history repeats itself. I don't think it repeats itself. I just think it continues in a cycle, and it comes back around. You know what I mean? I see the cycle that we're on, and I think we've come complete full circle. You know, we're back to square one.
Well, you know what? I've tried to say the Bible is a history of tyranny and man's resistance to it. You know, take all the organized religion, send us your donations, out of it.